Good evening and welcome everybody to the Monday, August 26th Park and Recreation Commission meeting here at the Rosemary Recreation Complex. We do have a quorum tonight. We do have two of our members that are coming in a little late, but were notified, so we do have a quorum to start the meeting. As we usually do, we'll start off by just going down the agenda. We will start off with open forum and public comment that we do have two guests in our audience that we welcome up to the table to have a brief description of the disc golf study that was done. So please come on, sit down.
It's just me coming up first.
Okay, just you.
Bob Baker, leader of disc golf.
It's Bob.
First, I want to thank you for allowing us to do the feasibility study at the town forest. As I hope you recall, we self-funded and we completed the study this summer. I know we're not on the agenda tonight, but hope to be soon. So I'm going to try to keep it very brief, under the 5 minutes. In early July, Needham Disc Golf walked public site at Town Forest with two of the most famous disc golf talents in the world, Avery Jenkins and Simon Lazard. I'm not going to give you a full bio as to who they are right now. Kevin Keane also walked with us that day. He walked with us the entire project. I did speak with him 2 days ago. And it's okay. And he said that he could easily envision a course there. He's very excited about this project. I asked him, could I say that this evening? And he said that I could. He sent in the feasibility study on July 30th. And we anxiously await a chance to discuss it with you and to move forward. In the meantime, I gave you the feasibility study. What I didn't give you, I don't want to overload your documents like some of these individuals like. I asked Avery for full quotes, one on just the design and one on the construction. The design was $7,000. You could locate the tee pads and the baskets fully for $7,000, or he could do that and purchase all materials for tee pads and baskets for $29,000. So that's pretty inexpensive, I think, for a recreational opportunity of this magnitude in need. Of course, labor is not included in that price. I did speak. Kevin reminded me when I spoke to him that it's not unprecedented. People build their own. We did it at Greenfield. This will have no splinters, unlike Greenfield. The people in Needham Disc Golf could probably go out there and build this in 48 hours. Once you tell us where the baskets are and where the tee pads are. So disc golf, of course, remains a very doable, very green, very affordable project. It would be a valuable addition to the many recreation options in Needham. And I think it's important for the commission to understand, you're not going to do any scheduling when this thing is set up. This is something you do on your own. It's like having a pickup basketball hoop. It's something you can do on your own, with your friends, with your family, take your grandkids. Anyway, well, thank you all for the fantastic work you do for the town of Needham, and we look forward to discussing this project with you in the very near future.
Thanks, Bob.
No, thank you, Bob.
I did make a note to make sure that we try to get, our next agenda is pretty full, but the next, maybe one of the next ones.
Perfect.
So I made a note to try and get you on one of the upcoming agendas.
Thank you, super.
Yeah.
The one thing I will just have to say about flipping through this in the few minutes before our meeting started is that I appreciate when people or organizations put pros and cons on certain things, because there are certain things that I don't know what to look for that are brought out of what's good and what's bad. So I appreciate them going into a very detailed of the two locations on there. And I will definitely, I know I've read through it before, but I will again. And I thought it's very well written feasibility study. So thank you for this.
Thank you to Cindy and Jim for coming out to Claflin last year. That's really more like the course you might find in Iowa or Kansas. I want to take you guys to a course like you find in the woods. I think that the best example is really what they've done behind Weston Next. So if you have an extra hour or two, you want to play some disc golf, I'd love to watch. I think that's probably the best choice.
I think it's great. And Cindy, you know the park and rec director for Weston, correct?
I'm Stacy, and yes.
Yes, what I say.
I know the director and the, I
Thank
know
you.
all of them.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I was like, wait,
That's it. Bob, thank you very much.
appreciate this.
Glad that was recorded. That's even better.
Mhm.
So, all right. There was our open forum, meeting guests. We do not have anybody else in the audience, and I don't see anybody here
There's nobody online.
on screen. Okay. Chairs updates, as I've done in the past, just anything that kind of pops up on the agenda, I will bring up. There's nothing that's glaring that needs to be brought up right now, but if anything does pop up, we'll just do it throughout the report. Next up, we have the director's report, and I'll hand it over to both our director, Stacy, and our assistant director, Hannah. The floor is yours.
Well, so the summer camp, numbers are first up. And if you look at the very top two lines, we had 691 unique campers. 642 were residents and the rest were non-residents, so. And these are the numbers, these are the final numbers, because camp ended on the 9th of August, so these are our final numbers. We did, just so the commission knows, we ran 2 other weeks of camps, we just brought in vendor camp, so we brought in like. Fun for All did a outside the lines drawing and survivor challenge, and then we did a top secret science program that we may not do again, but we did bring in vendor programs to sort of fill out the rest of the year for the summer for people that need childcare. These are the final numbers for the memberships or passes for court badges and pool passes. I have some comments on that later, and later, like at another meeting, when we talk about the camp and pool directors report are due to me by September 30th, so we're gonna talk about it at our October meeting. One of the things that you folks brought up last year was Chris's report is very
Detailed.
verbose. Hannah's report is very numbers,
Mhm.
and so we're trying to mesh the two. But my question, the pool numbers are easy to pull, like how many dailies, how many strawberry shortcakes we sold. I know you guys are very interested in that. But the camp numbers are slightly different, so I'm interested in wondering what kind of numbers, other than the 2 that we've pulled right now, are you interested in finding out about specifically our camps? You don't have to answer me right this second if you don't know. Oh, Cindy,
Cindy, yes.
Cindy, do you have a thought?
I have a thought. So I'm very interested in the dollars. Very
Mhm.
interested in how much money these programs generate. Only because, although I've been around for a while, but we, really anticipated when this facility was built, that we would be able to run lots of programs, lots of camps, in addition to what we're already doing.
Yep.
And that we'd be bringing in some great revenue numbers. I don't think it has panned out the way we thought it would.
Mhm.
But, being recorded, but, it would be nice to know how we're doing. It would be really nice to know how we're doing versus, how we did versus last year, because that's really the only way I think we can benchmark. I don't know that you can go back and give a quote if it makes any sense. But certainly 23 we can look at, right?
So I did talk to Chris about this today. We were gonna look at certainly numbers from 21, because we're not counting 20, that was a.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh, and I think 21 was also iffy, so maybe we do 22, 23, 24 straight numbers. We can also look at. It's very easy for me to tell you how much revenue we took in.
Yeah.
It is not as easy to tell you the net of that revenue. Based on staff salaries, equipment purchases. Dodgeballs, things like that, but I can tell you how much money we took in, sort of gross, and we can compare those numbers very easily. The net value is a little bit more difficult and will take more time. If you're interested, we can do it, but it wouldn't be ready by like our first
I
October
was very
meeting.
interested in that, but really the first part is, I think is very important, and then the changes. Is it due to participants? Did we have any changes in the costs? And I actually don't remember, we must have a few changes. I don't know that we did wholesale across the board price increases, but it would be nice, we look at a change, it happened because we had more people, but it happened because we raised the rates.
Yeah.
Some fun.
We can run all those numbers, and we can also pull specifically any programs that were run in this building for the summer, because we do run before and after camp, after our camp programs in this building. So we can pull the vendor programs for those as well, so it's very specific to this particular building.
And then going forward, sorry. Mr.
No,
Chair.
gosh.
Going forward, one thing that we did say to the town is we will be able to run programs year round because we have our own building, and we cried because we didn't have our own building, right? It was a big deal. We couldn't get school space because they were too full. We couldn't get the library. So are we making use of this building at some point? It would be really nice to know that we're utilizing the building and making money, because we thought there was a lot of revenue potential with this facility.
So we now use a software, it's called Event Manager, it's subset of school do, not important. That DPW uses for many things, but we also schedule every building in town, so all the schools, all our facilities. So I can run a report for the schedule of RRC for like the fall.
Okay.
And then I can try to pare that down with how much money that means incoming for the fall season. Now, we haven't started registration for the fall yet, so I can run the calendar for you, but I couldn't run the numbers yet until we get a little bit later in the season.
My only question is, when did we go to camps? 2 years ago? So it's good to, because we
Last year
weren't
was
doing.
our first year. Last year was our
Yeah,
first year.
so I think for me personally, it would be nice to see, you know, apples to apples. We started camps, but we're not getting rid of camps. We're gonna keep on going with camps. But it would be nice to see just to compare, but also what we did just for numbers in 22 is and see, hey, this is what we're doing for our traditional programs that we did for such a long time in 22. Change in 23 and then just do the app and see what we did for both 23 and 24.
Okay.
That's what, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
I would like to see. So,
And the numbers, I mean, I know when we get to the pool numbers, the pool numbers look way down to me. And I don't know, the camps were way down also.
They were not, the camps were up from last year.
Good.
The main complaint I got from pools is, and I think we need to fix this going forward, and Devin and I have already talked about the actual season. We advertise ending on August 11th. Okay,
mhm.
we definitely expected to go later than that. But we still have to make sure from our younger staff that we can keep the pool open. However, with the shorter season, people were less likely to buy a membership than they were to pay as you go. And so part of the report that we'll do, we'll run the daily passes, but I think what we'll see is those numbers are up and our memberships are down. And I think we have to look at that sort of holistically, like, do we want to sell more season passes? Because it's better, easier, whatever, we probably have to bring the number down or try to extend the season.
Mhm.
Sight unseen, meaning we don't know what our staff looks like. We have been very, very lucky since 2020 with our lifeguards. I mean, there are plenty of waterfronts in Framingham and Natick that are operating with no lifeguards. Because they can't staff it, or they're operating 9 to 5 and that's it, Monday through Friday. So we can try to do that. So there's a few moving pieces that Devin and I have already started looking at. To increase those memberships and start decreasing the daily fees.
I think in general too, we're just trying to maximize the pool time too, and just
Agreed.
like diving a little bit more, you know, pun intended, but like what that would look like. For, you know, every morning and like the swim lesson numbers and seeing how those fluctuate, like you said, you know, 11, noon is like nap time for some kids, and so maybe taking advantage of those for more adult programs.
Yeah, we're looking to potentially synthesize our swim lesson times. Because they're very spread out, if you look at the times and how many people we're getting, they're definitely heavier times where we could pull in instead of. Staffing 8 swim instructors and having a total of 10 kids.
Mhm.
We're not staffing, that's not a great use of the time, yeah. So maybe we bring in a water aerobics class, maybe we bring in, Devin is always wanting to put a scuba diving class in here, I don't know if that's gonna work, but that's his dreams. But things like that,
Okay.
in between our swim lessons to sort of maximize. What people want, we've always been asked for more adult program in the morning. When Devin and I talked earlier this week, we were talking about like, well, we can't really open fully, like. Before the time we do, but if maybe 2 weeks out, we can do 7 to noon and have lap swimming and toddler time, knowing that. Unless it's really hot, most people are still crazy busy after school and won't be using the pool. And then maybe just weekends, like, we're already trying to think. How do we maximize that time where we do have some staff? We just don't have enough staff in general to, the family pool. Pulls in a greater need for a larger number of lifeguards. Because you can have 5 people in the pool and they're so spread out that you would need 5 different lifeguards versus. On the lap pool, the most we have is 3. and that's just for accessibility. So we're trying to look at that and see what we can do to maximize the opening. And we do have a very large lap swim group of people that come in every morning, every single day, Monday through Friday. So we're gonna try to figure out what we can do.
I would anticipate, Mr. Chair, and I see that, the finance committee may ask some of these questions when they see the numbers for the pool. They don't always dive into our program numbers and our revenue numbers, because even though they seem big to us, they're small in context of the town budget, but they, I'm sure, would dive into. The pool and why are the numbers different and what's the trend? So we should anticipate that as well as understand that ourselves.
Good call. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Burned out. All right, floor is still yours.
So those are all the numbers, if anybody has any questions. Fields and facilities, the Rosemary pools are now officially closed to the public. Caveat is, this week we are hosting the WIP girls swim and dive team here for their practice for the week. It was an opportunity for them to not have to go to Babson and swim here at their own pool. We can do it for a week. We managed to get the lifeguards, I think, for 4 days, actually. So they're here for that right now.
Did you try to do that last year?
We did that,
Okay.
for a couple, we did it for tryouts last year.
Good, okay,
This year we were able to do it this week.
good.
Field permit requests have been sent out. They are final, with the caveat being, as we gather more special events, we will be updating our field permits regularly. All of our special events are now going through that system, Event Manager.
Mhm.
The calendar is visible to the public, which makes it very easy. So if you wanna book, say, the gym or the turf at Sunita, you can go on the community calendar and say, is this an option? And then book it. Any outdoor space goes to me for
Mhm.
approval, and then any indoor space in this building and Memorial goes to me, and then the schools go to various people for their approval.
Do you think at the next meeting, I know the screen's down, you could just give us a quick tutorial or
Yeah.
just like a 2-minute, like, hey, this is what it would look
Yeah,
like. if you
very
use the
simple,
average.
yeah, it's pretty easy. The HDMI cord is,
It is accessible from the town website.
yeah, I
actually.
can send you
Go to
the
town
straight
hall.
link.
Okay, I can't break it,
It's
can I?
gonna be that simple, right? Am I gonna have to have a username and a password, because that's tripping me up on every darn thing.
Cindy can
Yes,
call me.
If you want to request an event, you will need a username and password.
But
If
not
you
to see it.
just not to see
Okay.
it, you can just see it.
And that is for special events, is it also for all of the fields?
Our fields are not in there yet.
But they you anticipate we will eventually get in there.
I don't anticipate anything yet. The hiccup with Event Manager is like, for instance, soccer, track, and baseball all share time on a couple of fields on Sundays. The system doesn't allow us to double book. So somebody on my staff would have to go in and be like, okay, this group has an 8 to 10. This group has it 10 to 12. This group has it 2 to 4. And then do that every time it changes.
It's a lot of extra work.
Per calendar date. because it
Per-
changes.
Yep, and so like, and then if there's a rain out, or if there's a special event, then somebody has to go back in and update everything, because you cannot double book.
Can you break down, let's would use DeFazio as the example, the different fields, like the track?
Every field is separate, yeah.
Okay, okay, got it.
And I just asked them actually to add in playgrounds, tennis courts, pickleball courts, and basketball courts. Because while we don't permit them that often,
Mhm.
it would be useful for a parent if they wanna have their kid's birthday party at Greens to know if there's gonna be 5 other groups on Greens Field at the same time, and maybe they don't go to that thing.
Okay.
So we're gonna start adding those in there as well. So
Okay.
right now, fields live completely in the spreadsheet that I send out. We are looking at different software programs that might make it easier, but that won't be for like another year.
Okay,
The active rec feasibility study, we're scheduled for the first public meeting on Monday, September 9th at 6. We have already, the letters to the abutters for the 3 different sites
Mm,
will go out in the mail tomorrow, so we do like a 300-foot radius. We did one from Claxton, Hillside, and Mills, just to cover our bases.
mhm.
Even though I think the feel of the commission and our consultant is that probably Claxton is the best, we still wanted to put out
Sure.
the notice to everybody. And Claxton is now officially closed, the fence is up,
Mhm.
the berms are around, the fences are up. The parking lot is offline, which is causing a little bit of stress for 2 of our permit holders, but we're working with them.
Feel closed.
Metro West Backyard Run, they run in the town forest, but they use the parking. And so,
That's where Michelle thought the kids were in speed bumps.
yes,
That's what it was.
no,
Yeah.
no, that was.
Oh, that was something, no, that was the Cub Scouts. That was the Cub
Cub Scout camp out is also happening in the fall, and same thing, while they're not camping in the parking lot,
Mhm.
they do use the parking lot, so we are trying to work with them for different parking spaces, because Forestburg just doesn't. It's not gonna hold 90 cars,
Is the run on a Sunday?
yes,
Could we use the dump driving area?
we have to work with.
Okay,
RGS.
because I know.
We
like,
can
the
reach out to RGS and find out,
Just- Because I know no one's using
They
it.
cross the road.
Yeah, yeah, and just park there, and, because I know there, that is also used as an overflow when you can't get in the class.
Yep, so we can look into those things, but just so you know, it is shut down indefinitely.
And the trees are being
Can
cut
we talk
down.
about Claxton?
Of course.
For a minute?
It's an open, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to ask about the feasibility study, the meeting, like what will that agenda?
So I have a draft agenda from CHA, and I just today got the PowerPoint that they're gonna use to do their presentation, so I'll send that out with the agenda. It's honestly, basically, we're gonna show the PowerPoint, we're gonna ask for public input.
Input on what, or what are the findings?
So the findings were of the 3 locations, well, there was, a 4th location was Cricket, but that was quickly. Yes. So between Mills, Hillside, and Claxton, the consulting firm feels like Claxton is the best location for both a skate park and a pickleball courts.
And we have seen this report.
Yep.
Yes,
you've
that's
seen
what
the
I'm- yeah.
report. I can resend it,
Okay,
Could you-
that'd be good.
because it did come over the summer.
It
so
did, yeah,
probably
it did,
got
it was it did, I know we have seen it, because I remember, I think the person was on via Zoom.
Yep, Mike was here on Zoom.
Okay.
right? Yep.
No, I remember that now.
So I can resend that. So the findings for that, and there's very rough sketches in the original that they cleaned up for the presentation that they're doing tonight. Public meetings are basically something we do for most, if not all, of our projects. Just for people to give their suggestions, air their concerns. We didn't do a phenomenal job with tennis courts, and we all know where that landed us, so this time we're making sure we get out to public and offer them to come in and talk to us if they have any concerns or comments or suggestions. I don't actually anticipate anybody outside of those 2 user groups or subgroups that are interested in this project really showing up. But we wanted to do our due diligence.
Yeah.
We're doing the same thing. Probably not for another month for the tot lot, the big year tot lot. We have a working group already that's been talking, but we will still do a public meeting. Just the nature of our projects, the town management wants the public to very much, at the very least, be notified and have.
So that will be here.
Yep,
Correct, yeah.
So it's Army, we're right, Park
So-
and Rec meeting?
so it's our meeting.
Okay,
And so it's the Park and Rec public meeting. We're gonna go 6 to 7, hard stop at 7 for the public.
Yeah.
And then we'll start our commission meeting right at 7.
And will they meet with us? Or? 'cause I'm not
CHA
gonna
will be here for the public meeting, our
Mhm.
consulting firm. I believe, I don't know if ARC, their skateboard subcontractor, will be here in person. They may be joining online.
The one thing I will say is that, and because I've been through it before, this is almost gonna be kind of like the CPC when you have your public meeting. This is not going to be a debate over things. It is people sharing their ideas. We're not going to answer all of the questions right then and right there. We will write down, CHA will take suggestions and
Yeah.
because you don't want to get into like, well, how come about this? And how come you can't do that? And let's see what it looks like. That's not the platform. This is the very initial, hey, this is what we're thinking. We're asking for your feedback.
Yeah, it's very much a listen and take notes kind of thing, and especially for a feasibility study where we don't actually even have a project that we're talking about, we're just talking about the idea of the project. People will start to go down the rabbit hole, and we'll have to like, just say like, this is just a listening, this is a listening forum, an opportunity for you to talk.
Right. And we control the meeting.
Yes.
Cindy,
We've done with the Claxton trees.
oh, you're down with the piece of,
Yeah, I'm done with
Oh,
that.
okay.
I mean, I think as long as, someone, I don't know if it's you, Chris, or you, Stacy, or the consultant. I need to listen to everything, but you're right, we can't necessarily debate things. I don't see this as being controversial, but then again, I don't always, you don't know.
you don't know who's gonna show up.
So, but we need to keep it controlled, but still make sure we let everybody talk and listen to them. Sometimes great ideas that come out of these or get very valid concerns.
Sure.
And I assume we're like not gonna be supporting like every person who's advocating for the projects to talk about why we should do it
No.
and what, like,
Nope,
that's what I worry too.
No, it would be like everybody gets 3 minutes or 2 minutes.
we don't need to hear the same message.
Right.
Yes.
A lot of
Yeah.
meetings about
Yes.
these projects.
It's almost like when we do a town meeting.
So I just don't know if we need to.
We will control that. Don't need to hear the same thing over and over. All right, let's jump into Claxon.
The Claxton trees.
Then you can, go ahead.
I don't understand why people are so angry in general, but that's, on Facebook, or
Mhm.
online, right? People are just angry.
I don't go on Facebook anymore
Well,
because
I
of
read the
this.
meetup page, but I'm seeing people are.
I read it, but then the response was excellent,
There was.
saying what the
Yes.
town, what the
Yeah.
town is gonna be doing.
Mhm.
So it'll end up better than, I mean, it takes a while to grow, but.
Right, but
It's
right. and see,
gonna be
everybody-
really good afterwards.
Right,
Or DPW admin.
No, I don't think anybody from town admin did. I think there were people that literally went into the project and looked into it and dove into it like, this is what it means. Like, there were a lot of people that
Yeah.
didn't know, what does this mean? What does that
they
mean? And
posted
the
the
public.
link and
Yeah.
then they explained the
Great.
project, and I actually don't remember, I didn't know.
It wasn't, nobody from the town, at least on a town official site. The only person that at the end that gave a great glowing recommendation was a former Park and Rec commissioner.
Mr. Tool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That, I mean,
So,
yeah,
yeah, agreed. My concern is, you have suggested is that our tree warden or our superintendent of parks forestry takes a beating. I mean, every time a tree comes down, and if you know him, you know that he.
He's very
loves
passionate
trees,
about-
right? Very
Mhm.
passionate about
Definitely
trees
those trees.
and fully, all that stuff, right? So is there anything we can do to make sure he is supported? I mean, I was tempted to go on and say, gee, you folks, if you have a minute, we should talk to our tree warden, because he's fabulous, but I don't know that he's appreciating saying, get in touch with him.
Yeah.
On the other
Right.
hand, if you don't know him, I think your person is well, they, another tree down, he takes it. I don't know where that's coming from, quite honestly. The trees that are coming down in general are the developers. And guess what? Somebody sold their property to that developer and the town had very, very little to do with it, right? Almost nothing. So that's a different problem.
Yeah, I think what we can do to best support Ed is to make sure that our town website pages are up to date on projects and make sure we get some information out to Amy Hilson, who does the News You Need 'Em. Just to give a quick update on this is why, this is where, like, there's legitimate reasons, read more, click here.
Come
bring
to
up
our
back
meetings.
this. Yep,
Yeah.
all those things. Ed does a pretty good job, like I do, of not going on those pages because
Oh,
you
good.
drive
okay.
yourself crazy.
Because it's just awful what they write.
I think after the town common, he just stopped going
Yeah.
on, and, we know that it's legitimate, we know why, we know all the reasons behind it. But yeah, it's like if you were writing a book, it's like all your book reviews are like broadcast through your hometown over and over and over again,
Right,
and he does have a lot of feelings about it, but he does try to stay off Facebook as much
Okay,
as.
so is there anything we can do, in your opinion, to support him? I could come up with some words, and my policies to not put on Facebook, right, even though it's so tempting
Mhm.
to write something, because you're not gonna.
Well, that's part of the reason I
Yeah.
don't want is because whatever you say, somebody will find something to pick apart, no matter how clear you say it. Other than say, like once in a while, I'll be like, hey, visit our information page at click, here's the link.
Yeah.
That's the best we can do because you're not pro con, you're like, here's the information.
Mhm.
Right.
So
And
once
did
in
we
a while.
challenge the DEP when they, I think, did we challenge the DEP? Are you
It's-
serious? Are you serious?
One,
Do you think they really take challenge?
this was the only, or two, I won't say the only one, but this
They
one.
don't have public meetings, the DEP.
Right. Yeah, and, you know, anyway, it's.
No, I agree, and listen, I think Eddie deserves all the support. The thing that gets me though is that the complaint's always gonna be louder than the apology, that people are just gonna complain. And when you give them the answer, you rarely see I didn't know that, thank you very much for sharing that, hey, great, and that's.
No, they're
that's
still
what we live
silent.
in. Yeah, it's exactly, you're never gonna hear it, and it's just I'm not trying to prove you wrong, just trying to get the facts right, and when we show it to you, you go silent. That's the best thank you we're ever gonna get, so. Claxon Field, so it is closed, Cataldo is starting to do all the things, we got all the permits, and we're just. Gonna sit back and watch and support them as much as we can.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fazio, I did get the first, design documents this week from Fuss and O'Neill. I'm gonna take a quick look at them and then we're gonna, reach out to some vendors on the state bid list to get some numbers for construction. That's where that one's going. And for the tennis courts, it's very quiet right now, but I did submit the CPC application for the fall session and I did attend one of the CPC meetings and it was approved that it was worthy of, eligible for CPC funding is the term. There is another meeting on the 11th of September, that they will be discussing the tennis courts, that's one of their public meetings. I will be attending that from a conference, via Zoom, so if anybody could be there in the room, that would be helpful.
I will be there.
Great, thank you. But I will be there. We'll be at Laconia at the New England Park Association 126th conference.
Oh, where's that meeting?
The
Margate?
yes,
And how many people attending that?
not as many as I would like, but it's not my conference, so. I'm not
Seems like
concerned about it.
I need refreshments.
Oh, that you can probably do, 40. And that's it. Those are the,
Oh,
Just, the ground, are we gonna be moved in on the plans? Who's that?
4,
Deposit?
yes.
For-
Yep, I haven't even opened that
Yeah.
thing from Fuss and O'Neill, but I can forward it to
It
you.
will be before it goes to the.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
oh, yeah, yes. All right, anything else or questions, follow-ups, comments for the directions report? Cindy.
You can hear it later, lots of stuff on the news about Tripoli and West Nile. But, you know, in the middle, the center of the state, there are towns, there are a few towns that are closing their fields and parks, what's going on around here, Stacy, I'm guessing that you guys are on top of this.
We're on top of it, so for the camp season, and I haven't done it yet for the fall season, but I will do it, is we sent out a lot of the DEP one pagers on like. Bug spray and woods and things like that, and we'll send it out to our user groups so that they can pass it on to their families, we did the same thing with camps. Just any information we get from public health, we usually forward it on to our user groups, nobody yet is talking about closing down our fields, but we would obviously be the first to know, since public health would be the one to make the call. But I haven't,
Good point.
other than like, can you share this document with your groups? Yep, absolutely, we have no concerns. Yeah, we are keeping an eye on it.
We're hoping we
It
do
seems
not
like
have to.
there's,
for now.
seems like there is spraying happening in some towns that haven't, it doesn't seem like it's our county.
Not yet,
Yeah.
no, it's more middle western mass.
Okay. Perfect then. Anything else, director report? All right, going on to the discussion items, fall was gonna go right through the list here, fall field permitting. It's out. As you mentioned, any changes we'll make will probably be for special event requests. Anything else on that?
So,
No, okay. Outdoor report policies, any update?
Hannah did send me a draft,
Okay,
last week. I have not had a chance to review it, and that, and the dog policy is, being punted to next meeting.
fantastic, okay. Commission policies, anything new?
My folder.
The one I would want to follow up with the flotation devices. Any issues that we had? Thumbs up, families were thankful.
I would
No.
say double thumbs up. Families are very thankful. We did not have a ton. It wasn't a huge amount of people using them, but there are a few.
Mhm,
We've only had to remove, and when I say remove, we've only talked to like, I would say handful of families who are like, ooh, that's not the type we use. Can we give you one to borrow? And then we usually give them a quick flyer of the types that we will allow. So if they want to go out and purchase one, they can. But we do have plenty for use for the day. And that's been actually the best thing. To be able to say to somebody, oh, sorry, I can't use that. Here's one you can use.
Mhm.
And this is what you're looking for if you want to buy one.
okay. Perfect. CPC, I know we have you just mentioned the meeting on the 11th. Jim, I take it you will be there?
And yeah, and then there's a vote, they'll vote on it on the 18th.
Okay, perfect. Right, playgrounds and facilities, kind of went over that in the director's report, but you have a follow-up?
It's about capital projects, so, you know, we have our 10-year capital plan, as does Parks and Forestry and DPW. We've been meeting quite a bit because okay, I'll just say it, all of our programs have overlap,
Mhm.
especially since now, for all of our projects, engineering is taking the lead on project management. So even if it didn't overlap Eddie's group, it's now overlapping DPW in some way, shape, or form. Ed and I met a couple times this summer to talk about what was up next was this Broadmeadow and Elliott Field renovation. Talking about both of them doing it at the same time, design at the same time, saving some money. Broadmeadow Lower has become basically a lake.
Yep.
And we've talked to the main user group and they also don't really depend on that ball field at all.
Is that a baseball?
Yes,
Right.
and it's possibly in the future may become more of a stormwater project as opposed to a new field project. So with that, Ed and I talked about Elliott and making Elliott one big project. Turf field, brand new playground with port in place, updated basketball courts.
Mhm.
So one big project, all in one space.
Is this an Elliott? I haven't been Elliott for.
Elliott is.
Oh, where is
behind-
yeah, where is this?
When you-
Up behind Cedar Street. Off of,
Okay.
So if you pull in the driveway, the
Yeah.
school is gonna be there, the field is behind you. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
actually see the
okay.
field in the.
You can- yeah. It is, right, if you're staring at the front of the school, no, the field's to the right,
Yeah, to the right.
Behind.
that's the one on
Sorry,
the Wells
buddy.
we have, right?
Sorry.
Off of Wells, if you go towards Wells.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
My kids like Elliott.
Okay.
So what's wrong with Elliott? It just got old.
It's what isn't right.
So- And this happens on many of our school fields, so, recess basically compounds the dirt on all of our fields, and you cannot keep it alive because it doesn't have time to rest. And it basically compounds so much that it turns it into almost like cement.
A lot of rocks there too.
There's a lot of rocks, there's a lot of ledge, you can't really irrigate it. All kinds of things are happening. I have Elliott pulled up on my computer if you would like to come see it.
I just remember when I was.
Excuse me.
No, go ahead.
my
I'm
kids
sorry that
were first
HDM.
class at Elliott.
It's, I mean, the school is beautiful, it's this, yeah, the field, I mean, they have nice.
One of our newest fields.
Yes.
All right, so here's Central.
Plans.
Yeah.
This is the way you come in. the back.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the front.
Okay.
This is the playground and the field
Okay.
way back
Oh, so
here.
it's up to the right of the school. as
Yeah.
I would think of it. Okay, so that's right.
Actually, from the.
Okay.
And so this field you can actually see from Central Ave.
Okay.
And the trees.
Where the trees are down.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay.
I love my brick there.
Yeah, I do, so,
The right of the school.
Correct.
Driving it over to.
yes,
So I'm just bringing this up because it wasn't anybody's
Yeah.
capital plan, but we all feel like it's the right pivot.
Agree.
It's not gonna be for like this particular fiscal year, obviously, it will be one of the upcoming, but you may see it, at town meeting, which is why I wanted to bring it
For
up.
me.
Say again, we're going to talk about a turf field, a
Turf-
playground.
Turf field, playground with the porta
Instead
plates,
instead of the Little League field, with the Little League.
All
field,
it'll be a little league
The
field,
whole thing will be.
it'll just be
turf
turf.
field.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Damn,
that'd be nice.
my kids are born too late,
Yeah.
too
So-
early.
And then upgrade the basketball courts as well.
Mhm.
So it'll be a full, all-inclusive project. We are looking, as always, that we always do for our big projects, is looking for a walking path around the field, like to
Mhm.
connect it to the ADA paths around the school.
Yeah.
For passive recreation. Or people watching their kids or things like that.
Right.
So, we just had a meeting recently with, was it Time Bond? To sort of pivot, because they had originally given us numbers for a construction project and design project for the Broad Meadow Elliott combination, and now we're switching, and so we asked them to give us some budget numbers for that.
I have some questions.
Oh, go ahead.
So, part of that may be CPC eligible, maybe?
Almost all of it.
Almost all of it,
Yeah.
okay, so that's great. And then Broad Meadow would no longer be a field.
Broad Meadow,
The lower Broad.
Lower, correct.
correct, so Broad Meadow, the project itself would just be on pause. We
Okay.
would take a deeper look at it with our storm
Yeah,
engineer people. To see if it makes more sense, because that field is closed so often.
it's been problematic.
It's been problematic, it's problematic to the neighbors, it's problematic to the school. To possibly do, at some point, a field playground upgrade there, but leave Lower Broad Meadow as stormwater or a
Mhm.
retention basin.
The take
Oh.
line does not affect our user groups.
We
because they're not
talked to the
finding it
president
useful.
of-
Not being used anyways.
Yeah, we did talk to Needham Baseball Club president, and he was like, we don't even count it. Like, it's great if it's there, but, and the schools very rarely use it, it's also super buggy down there because it's always retaining water. So that could be an upcoming change to our capital project list, I just wanted to keep you, it's very early, but it is a pivot we just.
In the
started
next
talking
few
about.
meetings, can we have an updated of like, so you just brought that up of like, let's say the next top 5 items or.
You wanna update the capital?
Yeah, just like, just so we're all on the same page and we're looking
Yeah.
at where, like, where are we over the next few years that we, we have the tennis courts, where are we going for the next 5 years?
Definitely.
If we're thinking of doing work on that field, I know there's been some discussion previously about softball fields versus baseball and the quality of those.
Mhm.
So if we're upgrading a little league field and you have an opportunity to potentially switch that to, like, could we switch Avery with Elliott and make Elliott a softball field? And like, I think it just would be helpful to think of the best use of that space. And maybe it's not possible because it's too small and more limited. But thinking beyond just
Mhm.
replacing what we currently have and saying, would we get broader use if it was a different type of field?
So one of the things that's positive about, diamond turf fields is they have movable mounds. And because a little league field and a softball field is the same length, they're both 60 feet.
Mhm.
You could have a movable mound so that when Little League is there, they can move the mound out or move it back, and when softball comes in, they can just leave it flat. So we can discuss if that happens later about who gets the priority when it comes to permitting. But it is an option. I think Arlington has it for one of their premier fields. They just roll out the turf mound. It anchors down, so it doesn't go anywhere. And then when the softball team needs it, it just slides away.
They've used that also at Memorial.
Yeah.
That during the season, like when it's too wet at Claxton before McLeod was done. High school softball and youth softball would use the field without the mound, and then when the field's dried up, they use the softball fields. Baseball could then go in and use that portable mound, and literally it's on wheels.
Yep.
And it's solid enough that they can move it, but also be able to play games on it. So it works out.
But it's a good point.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's big enough too, that you could also probably put like a soccer field or field hockey, I mean, within the dimensions of. If you're gonna do as a multi-purpose like we do at the high school, you line it for multiple sports.
That has, it's enough, that's enough.
I don't
For a
think it
younger,
ever
for a
will be
younger
limited.
division,
Okay.
oh yeah, no, definitely younger kids.
It could be a 99, definitely.
Yeah.
It's definitely 66, but it would.
No, yeah, you're younger
Mhm.
types. You can say
But
that.
yeah, that's the only update I have on
Nope.
that facilities, and I made a note for the updated CIP list.
The only other thing I would bring up in regards to playgrounds, facilities, but I'll let Michelle go first. No, go ahead, no.
But only because now that the fall season is about to pick up, water at the field, particularly to Basio.
Oh, we do the, spring, the bubblers.
The bubblers, yeah, we didn't have it before spring.
Because the building was never turned on, that's why.
So
Mhm.
that has been brought to our attention this summer. We are working on a workaround. So in order to keep the building still, but
Like a splitter. or
a
something.
splitter off the irrigation, because the irrigation is obviously still live. So we are working on a temporary fix for that. The long-term fix is to get a separate line and have a bottle filler. Like a,
Do you think there'll be something this fall?
But how's that
We
go?
have that at.
Oh, okay. We do, but it's, no, we do have them there, it's just not working. We do, it's on the, I wanna say it's the same side as the, defibrillator.
oh, okay,
Yeah, I wanna say it's on the same side.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I forgot that one, we do have a couple of them, so yeah, we are,
Yeah.
it's not up, but yeah, that is, it has been, we've been working on it. One of the pipes had a crack in it, so when we did turn it back on to see if it would work, we have to fix that, so now we're working on the splitter.
So Stacy, I would suggest if it's not going to be available, that we tell the groups,
Mhm.
listen, there isn't water, there isn't this fountain. And this is the reason, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least they'll work them, so they're not, I mean, people can still complain on Facebook if they don't like it, but at least we tell them.
Yeah.
It's not working, make sure you bring your own water right now, because we have whatever.
Yeah.
Pipe problem, plumbing problem, whatever it is. I
Um,
mean, ideally,
also-
we want it to happen.
Kathy Grace, who
Grace?
works with, yes, Green Needham, so they are working with me, to double check all the bubblers in town. Because what happened is, we shut everything down during COVID, right, for obvious reasons. We didn't turn everything on back on in 21 or sometimes 22, because it was still a little iffy. Since then, some of the pipes have broken, so some of our bubblers, it just means we have to go in and turn them on and check them. Other ones, we turn them on, pipes are cracked, because they've been winterized for too long. So I'm working with DPW and the plumber and this group who's going around and checking them for us.
And will that be done in a week, because fall season?
They sure will be done in the week, because
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
the plumber is,
Yeah.
obviously very backed up and not, our bubblers are not always top of the list. I got it, there it is. But we are aware of it, and so we are working on the big spaces, DeFazio and Cricket being both of them, as big spaces that we're trying to see if we can get a workaround for the season.
I wanna say, I'm not gonna get in trouble for saying this, but when CPC first started here in Needham. I wanna say that they did the water bubbler project as one of the first CPC articles. That double check on that might be something to look into. If, I remember someone, I mean,
Really?
I can't remember the name who said it, but I wanna say that was probably one of the first projects, because I hate to say that at first they were struggling. That they got accepted to CPC and they didn't have any real project, so they wanted to kind of think like, what we can do, and I wanna say that the water bubble project was one of the first CPC articles that we had. I mean, if not, might be something worth, see if it's eligible, it's part of recreation. So.
But if we can't get the bubble.
Well, I just, like, I don't know, are they, say they're only 5 years old, if the unit is fine, it's just the piping that stinks into it, then yeah, that's more of a complex thing, but if the units are making the pipes break or whatever it might be, it's something worth looking at.
Well, I mean, there's a communication.
Yeah, that's the other
So,
thing.
you
Nope,
know.
I hear you.
Okay, I'll look in that too, thank you.
Can I bring up one more thing in regards to facilities? Do we have a roundabout number of the cost of the sauce gate?
Nope.
Mr. Matt,
We're waiting on DPW's overtime staffing hours.
but we have a ballpark?
Ballpark, it looks like it's gonna be less than 12 grand.
Okay, way better than less than, less than 20.
So. We won't know exact numbers now. I do wanna put the caveat in that it does, we're not factoring in the cost of water
Mhm.
at all. Town manager asked me not to count that in. Even though, yes, somebody is paying for the water to refill the pool, she asked me to take that out of the equation, so that is not.
The rest of
included.
us, right? we'll-
Yes, yeah.
we'll pay for it.
Eventually
Yeah.
DPW, somebody is
Someone's-
paying
yeah.
for it. But she did ask me to remove that from the equation, so I wanna say it's gonna be between 10 and 12,
Okay,
10 and 12.
10 to 12 roughly.
okay. Great. Anything else in regards to discussion items? All right, let's move on to the next action items or approval, special event approval.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got.
So normally I don't bring birthday parties to your attention,
No,
however,
so
this
that's-
one is being outsourced to an outside vendor called Knucklebones. I don't know if Needham's used them,
We have used.
we
them.
have
Yeah,
used
yes.
them, we use them for open gym, yes. So we have used them, but when you're bringing in an outside vendor, I feel like you all should take a look and see if this is something we want to do. It's not something we have historically done. It would absolutely not be allowed at DeFazio for obvious reasons.
Yep.
We do not permit special events at DeFazio in the fall or the spring.
Especially at the pavilion.
And if they, yes, well, it depends on, the thing is, they're looking for a weekend space. We don't have a field, open space. There's two open fields pretty consistently fall and spring, and that's Riverside and Cindy Williams.
Mhm.
Both are small. So,
It is only 15 participants, they're saying.
What did we, so we had a couple of open permits that we were asking for more information on. This was the
Yes.
one that, so what was decided last meeting, because I wasn't at the last meeting.
I think they all went away, or Hannah.
That was street hockey, very similar, outside vendor coming in.
Mhm.
One was a conflict with the school, so it actually was supposed to be today. I had reached out to the head secretary at Mitchell as well as the assistant principal and principal, and they were like, we're coming back to school, like teachers are moving in, and that was just not a good time.
Mhm.
The ideal like location too, like just couldn't get into the building. That and on top of the outside vendor aspect that we had talked about, like them in a way making some type of, benefit off of using our fields and facility. So that just, it did not turn into anything. I think with the other groups that were, as for the other permits, I had reached out to people, and I never heard back, so.
When you start asking, somehow the
Yeah.
answers don't always come up.
So I had reached out to them, but I just never heard anything back.
Okay, all right, let's jump back to this one. So I agree. The pavilion, that's an open space. We can never cordon that off except for Memorial Day tournament or track meets that we've ever done before. But I mean, for a birthday party on a Saturday between 4 to 6, we can't cordon that off for 15 people. I'm sorry.
Is there a way, can you say, take a step back though,
Sure.
and just say, would we ever rent, like lease out our fields for a birthday party that has a vendor that they are renting indirectly, they are renting our fields and it's a for-profit or.
Mhm.
Cause I think it's the philosophical decision that we need to make, because these are gonna keep coming to us, and I don't think availability of the field should even be in consideration until we decide if we're comfortable supporting this type of request.
Great question. Great comments.
Is that something, like, does the policy read in a way that would allow it?
the policy reads, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think it reads like way down. For profit is very last. It has to be a Needham-based group still, and then it's basically dependent on you all for approval, so it's not space available necessarily. It's entirely, if I remember correctly, and
Yeah,
I don't actually have the exact words, but it's technically on the rules and regs, but it is last option.
Mhm.
They're the last priority, right?
Total
You look
last
at the
priority.
list.
And if it's not a Needham-based group, which you could argue birthday party and kids are, Knucklebones is not,
yeah.
Mhm.
so, you know,
And we're seeing a surge.
Yeah.
So we are now in the business of managing fields for personal use.
Well, that's if we approve it, but we haven't.
No, but
Oh.
we could get, into, right, like we had 4 or 5 a couple of weeks ago that we
Yeah.
were trying, that took quite a bit of time to tease out. So I think that that's another thing, do we wanna support individual birthday parties?
I'll say it, no,
I-
no, not our fields, I'm sorry, you
So-
can, yeah, go ahead, Cindy.
Just, I don't mean to, I just
Okay.
think that for order of priority is, category E is any organization not listed in prior categories. So it really doesn't
Very broad.
address, that's, otherwise it goes to, you know, Needham school, Needham nonprofit, 100% Needham residents, Needham nonprofit adult, blah, 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 and then it goes down to non-Needham based nonprofit and category E, any organization not listed. So I think that's probably what you would.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
I would agree, and I'm not a commissioner, but I would agree that fields don't need to be rented for personal use. I think if somebody wants to have a birthday party at a playground, so be it, as long as they understand it's not exclusive.
Mhm.
People have them all the time, pick up
Yeah.
yourself.
Exactly, yeah,
I mean, we don't charge at all for playgrounds, so it doesn't really make a difference. It's more like they're giving us a heads up that it's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. But I think for fields, we don't get enough rest in our fields as is. I
Yeah.
don't think we need to, even though it's just 15 kids running around, it's just not necessary.
right, but it's more of a headache to manage, because say you start getting calls like, oh, there are other kids on the. No, we're not managing that, you know?
We've had the construction fence up for how long at Clacton? We've already kicked the cricket roof off.
Yeah, and I think when there's an outside vendor, it gets even.
I always think,
harder.
would I allow that to happen in this building? Absolutely not. So why would I allow it? Why should we allow it?
I just think it's a real resource.
Like, I know a lot of park and rec departments will offer like, you can have your birthday party here and our staff will run games and do things like that, but nobody brings in another vendor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just like a no-go. And by the way, we don't want to get into that. Before you even ask. That's just using it as a total example, we're not actually doing it.
Wrapped up. And, yeah, let me make. the-
What's this we stuff?
Yeah, I would agree, I don't think that.
Sounds great.
We renovated our fields, we didn't spend all this money on our fields, to rent them out for profit reason. Right, for profit groups, we did it for youth sports groups, for adult sports groups, Needham based primarily, it may sound parochial, but it's the Needham taxpayers that paid for it.
Yeah.
And we did it for our own use, and we have a lot of groups that have non-Needham folks in them, of course, but, that's not, we're not out there trying to rent our fields, we just don't have enough field space.
We do enough permitting.
Yeah, it's too, and it's too much maintenance already
Yeah.
to keep our fields, up. So. Yeah, it just doesn't, I just don't think it's right, I don't think our policy addresses it specifically, but I think there's enough in here that we can say. We have every opportunity there to say, no, for-profit individuals and or organizations will not be given permits for use of athletic field or parks. For the purpose of raising private funds without a majority vote of the Park and Rec Commission or the trustees. Now, this isn't really raising private funds, so maybe we need to tweak our policy. Because we didn't think of every eventuality, but. I just don't know, I don't feel good about, doing this, I think we've
No, I
done
agree.
this already.
No, I agree, I mean, we can't do that, we've already got enough on our plates.
Jim, how do you feel
Well,
about this?
the only thing I'm thinking is, but there's nothing stopping just going through the park and having a party.
No,
Right?
but Rue would kick them out. Yeah, if,
Well,
if we saw it, yes, somebody
I'm saying,
could remove
but-
them,
But
yeah.
in practical. in
That, I
practical
mean,
terms-
that's what his job is entirely, he's consistently going out to people and being like, you
Yeah.
can't do this, it's no different, yeah, we can't actually stop people from wanting to break the rules. But we can say, no, we don't. want
Yes.
this."
Yeah,
But in
There's no
general,
reason to approve it, though.
Right,
Correct.
but generally, you could
Right.
have your kid, you know, have their 10 friends show up at the playground.
Right.
Whatever field and
Right,
play kickball or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe
what
whatever.
convenient thing, everyone's here, and there's food.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's fine, that's. But bringing in a group.
Yeah.
I would think we should.
Did you need something?
So I will make a motion to deny the request of the special event request for a child's birthday party on Saturday, September 9th.
I think it's this.
September
Seven.
7th, okay, September 7th.
Mhm.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of denying the request, say aye. Aye. Passes, does not pass unanimously. I always get that wrong. There was also another one that you had sent out an email in regards to for the First Circle Learning Center of Needham.
Sorry. I know, I started, I mean, I didn't.
This one is. Wow, for those who don't have it in front of you, it is. Formerly the Chestnut Children's Center is looking to host a fall festival for their families. We will have a singer, barn babies, and a few snacks. Last year, we had close to 250 to 280 people for the hour and a half, so we're expecting the same for this year. We are hoping to hold the event from 4 to 5:30 on Friday, October 18th.
What was the?
They were originally asking for DeFazio,
Where are they?
the playground.
So that's what I was thinking when I read it,
What?
because we didn't approve it last year, and I remember it.
Oh, you
So
did.
I
wait,
remember the request, because I had to look up who it was, because I didn't know who it was. We did not approve
Yeah,
it.
so we, again, so they had it somewhere, because.
They had it somewhere,
Maybe
maybe
we need to call them and say, we're struggling with where we could put you on that date, where did you hold it on?
Yeah, she's good. She's good.
I mean, really, it's not a bad one.
I would just say, I mean, this is on a Friday, that parking lot's gonna be packed anyways, you're adding another
we'll get
100.
it, it's a for profit.
Yes. so-
And maybe the facility coming up, they'll have the new. Correct, like, isn't Chestnut, they're going to.
Is that the same one?
Daycare. Yeah,
No, that's the Needham Children's Center.
oh, okay, so.
Okay.
yes, it's different. Oh,
That's
so
different.
Yeah,
Needham
they're
Children's,
hospital.
we work with them all the time on things.
got it. I mean, this is just like the one we had before, sorry, especially for the fields, the time, the amount of people. I'm sorry. I'm gonna make a motion to deny the request from the the First Circle Learning Center, formerly the Chestnut Children's Center. Do I hear a second? I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of denying the request for the First Circle Learning Center, say aye. Aye. Does not pass. Or passes, but doesn't pass.
Your motion passed.
My motion passed, that's all that matters. Let me go back to the agenda.
You have 2 sets of minutes to approve.
Hold on.
Okay, Joe, last one, if you're on- Oh, you lost.
No, I lost it here, I lost the whole packet. Packet for Monday. Here we go. All right, first set of notes are from July 8th, where we had everybody here. Except Michelle. Except Michelle. So we can do a vote.
You can.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of July 8th. Do I hear a second?
second,
I hear a second. Fantastic. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes of July 8th, we'll do a roll call vote just because the 3 of us. Or we could just say,
No,
okay,
you can say, I should just discuss with.
Okay. all those in favor, please say aye.
uh,
Aye. And 1 abstention. Next set of meeting word.
That's true.
Probably the most efficient run meeting I think we've had. I mean, it was fun and balloon animals, it was great. Yes, it was on.
They were always right. The handle was nice, but.
Believe me, you were heard. So. All right, I will make a motion to approve the minutes of July 22nd, Park and Recreation Commission meeting. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion?
I think there, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there is a call to order. I can see it right now, sorry, I remember.
July 2nd, not.
July 2nd, right? Just-
Wow,
Just right this second, and I read the wrong.
fire that person.
Hold on, he was just- No, that person is.
No, okay, at least you got the whole, okay, good. All right, so, we'll just make that notation of the change of the call to order. We have a motion a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of July 22nd, please say aye. Aye, passes unanimously. Right? All right, back to the top, the issues not recently anticipated. I can't think of anything. Any other commissioners? Okay. Topics for future meetings. I know we put some things on the agenda for next, few meetings coming up, as a matter of fact. Next meeting is Monday, September 9th. Any issues with anybody for the next, actually 4 meetings going forward?
So the nine
Caveat.
starts at
Caveat,
6,
six.
2 caveats.
yes.
The 9 starts at 6 and.
The public meeting starts at 6, our meeting starts at 7.
Correct. October 14th, we cannot hold that meeting. That is a federal holiday.
Okay,
It is. And, I did email everybody about, I gave out a couple draft agendas. And you'll notice that the first meeting in November, we also cannot hold because that is Veterans Day. Veterans Day happens to fall on Monday this year.
okay,
So the first meeting of both October and November, we have to either cancel or reschedule those meetings.
do we have a lot going on between October and November?
Yeah, there's a lot.
I'm just saying, no, I'm just saying, like, would we be okay with doing just the meeting on the 8th, on the 28th? And then further in
Possibly, we
November?
could revisit at the 23rd. When is town meeting?
It's a good question.
First, I think, of October,
That sounds right.
21st of October.
So we may have to meet before that, or we could, if we get our ducks in a row for the 23rd.
Let's do this. Let's keep the September meetings as is. During those 2 meetings, we will visit what we're doing for October and November.
Okay.
How's that sound? Vacations will be planned, if they need to. Anything else anybody has to bring up?
Did you look at me specifically?
I know, I had bad neck. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning the meeting of Monday, August 26th, say aye. Aye. We're done.